Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about 7 tips when you plan on buying a business. Now, there's a certain couple of instances in which case maybe you're already an entrepreneur and you're thinking about expanding, but you're like, well, it's hard to get clients. Or customers? What if I did it something different? And that's really what I want to talk about today is these tips that are going to help you buy that business and make it better for you than if you're planning on trying to just get more clients or customers without buying a business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're new here, my name is Taylor Darcy from Think Legal, where I help you create the business of your dreams. So welcome. I am excited to have you. I am grateful that you are here. And please feel free to leave comments. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you have more information that you need besides comments, feel free to reach out to me at thinklegalpc.com. I'm here to answer them. You can schedule a discovery call if you're in the state of California to help you with business legal matters. So let's get started. All right. So first, an idea rather than buying the business itself, like as a whole package. Business is a whole package, if that's what you prefer. But there are some downsides that you need to be aware of. For instance, like how the assets are purchased. You'll be purchasing them, as far as like for tax purposes, at the new rate that you're purchasing them at them instead of at the tax basis of the previous owner. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you're not careful, now this is just keep in mind, if you're careful and you do your due diligence, this won't necessarily apply. But your liabilities, or rather the seller's liabilities, if you purchase just the assets and the customer list and just the tangibles of the business, then you avoid the potential for liabilities. Now, in a decent relationship that you hopefully have with the seller, any litigation or disputes or credit issues or anything that might be an issue there would be talked about and resolved ahead of time. Okay, so this is one of those alternative strategies. Number one, you could buy the business in its entirety. Or number two, you could just buy the assets. So this is just an alternative. You need to know what's right for you, and having an attorney to help you with it is very important. So buy the assets, not the business, an alternative strategy to buying that rather than the package. That's number one. Number two, there's going to be accounts receivables, or at least there typically is. How is that going to be managed? So you want to make sure that it's clear who's getting the accounts receivables. Is that part of the package? Is that not part of the package? Is it going to be, okay, after this cutoff period, there's you get the accounts receivables once you take over? Do you get them before? How is that going to work as far as like the buyout is concerned? So that's another way to potentially finance it, is to give the business owner, sorry, not necessarily him, the business owner, all of the accounts receivables prior to the buyout that are collected after. And then you take everything that's incurred or accrued after that. So that's just an idea. Again, these are tips that can help make you buying a business a lot easier than just having to come up with a ton of cash. Number three, and this one you want to, because leases are not automatically assignable, or that they're not necessarily transferable, especially commercial leases. So you need to check with the leasing company whether if you're going to stay in the same place, whether it's transferable, whether there's an early termination, what it is that you're needing to comply with the terms of the lease. You're going to want to have that looked over for that purpose. The number 4, and this is probably one of the most important things. So if you haven't listened to anything else I've said, and you're maybe like scratching your head about something, which I completely understand. This is why you hire an attorney to help you buy a business, not do it completely yourself. But you're going to want to get what's called an indemnification from the seller for all acts or things or liabilities from prior to the sale of the business. And this is important. This is huge, because the last thing you want to do is purchase a business, the seller oopsed it, which it happens. We're human. I get it. And now all of a sudden you're hurt because of what the seller did that didn't disclose to you. So by having this indemnification clause in the purchase contract, sales agreement, then you're going to make sure that you're protected for all the acts that occurred prior to you being responsible for anything. And to add to that, you're going to want to indemnify the seller of the business from all acts after. And that's a great way to make it mutually beneficial to both parties. So the indemnification simply means that you're eliminating the risk. I shouldn't say eliminating. You're minimizing the risk. And that's important because people, especially sellers, don't want to worry about the risk after they've moved on. So this is something that you need to consider when you're dealing with the logistics of it, the due diligence of it. Excuse me 1 second. I need to do this. I think that's better. I keep getting a little bit of a tinge sound in my headphones. Anyway, apparently that didn't. All right. Hopefully that's okay. All right. Another tip is to make sure that the seller stays for a while after completion of the business. Don't just have an automatic cutoff. Have a graduated system that says, okay, you're going to be working this much to get me to here and then this much to get me to there. This gives you a lot of opportunity to ask questions, and when issues come up, you can address them with the person that previously owned the business. This is important for a smooth transition. You don't want to have it like, as of the end of this date, that person no longer, theoretically exists, and you can't contact them because that they don't appreciate it. They're done. They're out. So you really want to have this as a way to make sure that you're successful. So that should be part of the agreement, that they stay on just in an advisory role. We're not suggesting that they stay on full time, but have it so that, okay, maybe, a month after they're on full time for that first month, and then the second month they're on part time, and then they're just on call that third month. Whatever you and the seller of the business decide is mutually beneficial to both parties is what you want to do. So that gives you the opportunity to be more successful. You're less risk on your part for taking over the business, continuing it. And it'll also, and here's the one of the main benefits, is that it'll also help make the transition smoother for your customers or clients, because then that way they get used to this new person doing things differently than what they're used to. And it'll help the employees all around. It's a much better solution than just dropping it, cutting and run. So you want to make sure that's part of the agreement. You're going to have a much more successful opportunity business-wise if you have the previous seller on temporarily. This isn't forever. This is, just a brief period of time after the sale closes that you can get questions answered, help keep the productivity, keep the wheels turning of the business. Sorry. Dang it. That's obnoxious. I'm so sorry. So you want to make sure that's happened. The other thing is, and most people don't think about this when they're thinking of buying and selling a business, and there should be like a down payment on the business, and then there should be a balance that's due when they're at a certain interval after the sale. Remember that whole, if you keep the seller on, it's going to be more successful. Well, if you make the sales price tied to the success after the seller is technically gone as a portion of the sale, then it gives them an incentive to help make that transition smoother, and you're going to have a much better outcome that way. And they're going to be incentivized. Okay, the harder I work to keep these clients and get these clients involved, the better it is that I'm going to have, the more money I'm going to get for my retirement, okay, or whatever it is that they're going for the next thing. The last thing, and this is important kind of in the early stages, but not necessarily the absolute beginning, you're going to want to put all of the terms, like this is non-binding, it's what's called a letter of intent. And the simple version of it is it's just a simple letter that discusses the potential terms of the agreement. It helps you understand that the seller is serious in selling and that the buyer is clear on the terms. All of the nitty-gritty details get worked out after you've made this serious. So you want to make sure that the seller is serious, the buyer is serious, that this is really going to happen given those terms. Now, things will change. A letter of intent is not at all like absolute. You can't look at it and say, well, this is what I'm going to hold them to it. No, because there may be things that come up that either party isn't aware of, and it's not fair to hold them to it. You just have to go with it. And so you want to make sure that it's clear. As I've said in multiple videos, and if you haven't been watching, I'm just going to say it just in case you haven't. If it goes without saying, it usually goes better with saying. So the clearer you are in your communications, the better, the happier, the more likely you'll be successful with that buying and selling of a business. So those are the 7 tips. If you've gotten value out of this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and like and notify. And that's crazy. I don't know why it does that. Just know we go live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. till when we're done, and we'll see you next time.